Now we come to section 31. And would you please turn to page section 31. The section is Subhuti, what do you think? If someone says the Buddha speaks of the view of an ego, a personality, a being and a life, Subhuti, does that person understand what I mean? No, World Honor One, that person does not understand. Why? Because when the Tathagata speaks of the view of an ego, personality, and a being and a life, it is not really, but is experientially called the view of an ego, a personality, a being and a life. Subhuti, he who develops the supreme enlightenment, mind, should thus know, see, believe, and comprehend all things. He should not set up the perception of things in his mind. Subhuti, the so-called form of things, Dhamma, Lasana, the Tathagata says is not, but is experientially called the form of things. So, in this section, a concluding one almost like, it says, what do you think if someone says the Buddha speaks about the view of an ego, personality, a being and a life, does that person understand what I mean? That's what the Buddha said. The Buddha's teaching is to detach from the ego, personality, being and life, not having a view of it. If someone says that the Buddha's teaching is having a view of the ego, personality, being and life, then he does not understand what the Buddha's teaching is all about. So, just to recap on what's ego, personality, being and life. When we started out in the first 2 or 3 chapters, we talk about that, and now we talk about that again. What's this fourfold fallacious concept that an average or temporal being always maintain? What is this? Ego. What is ego? Ego is solipsistic. Solipsistic is to a person maintain the view that the most important is the existence of the self, oneself. Some people maintain the view that if I don't exist, nothing matters. So this is very solipsistic. It thinks that the self is important. You as a self is important, I as a self is important, the self is important. And that's related to the ego, solipsistic. So the ego, what is this ego? The ego is even stronger. This view is even stronger. You have a self, I have a self, but my self is more important than your self. When urgent situation come, I can sacrifice yourself to maintain myself. That's what egoistic is all about. So ego means, if we use the common English language, is I, the subject, the giver, the 5 skandhas. What are we make of? We'll make up the 5 skandhas. Matter, the body, we make up of the body. The body is the matter. Other than the body, we also have the mind, which is the spiritual side. We have the material side and the spiritual side. The material side, of course, is matter. The 5 skandhas, matter. So a person is made up of that, and that is the ego. We maintain that this is the 5 skandhas is me, it's me, that's me. Sentient beings attached to the notion of ego and the 5 skandhas. That's the ego, just to simplify it. What is the personality? If I maintain I, there must be others interacting with I, with the subject. That is you, them, he, the object, the recipients. So if there's an I, if there's a subject, there's an object. So that's personality. You maintain all these other things. You attach the existence of all these other individuals, all these other selves. And then how about beings? Because you attach to I, the subject, and them, or he, or she, the objects, so comes the arising of subject and object, the giver and the recipient. There's beings. Another way of interpreting it, other than I and you and he, there's all other things in existence. The building, the car, the house, whatnot, the particles, the atoms, the protons and the electrons. We attach to all things other than the selves or the individual self. So that's beings. And how about life, the concept of a life? Because you attach to ego, persons and things, you would cling to the false notion of the continuation of life, the permanence fallacy. We always think that things would go on. My body will go on. The scantus will go on. Although we know that life is not permanent, but we live that way. We've been reading sutras about impermanence, but we behave permanently. We behave with the permanence attitude. So there's always a saying in the Chinese language, chant the sutras of impermanence, but react with permanence. We always react with permanence. We chant sutras of impermanence, knowing that we should not attach, but once we put the sutra down, we've been attaching to greediness, hatred, violence, mental afflictions, jealousy, hatred, depressions, you name them. Once we put the sutra down, we're attached. So, life means the attachment to permanence, attachment to continuation. So, these views are not the two Buddhist teachings. So do not say that the Buddha speaks of the view of an ego, personality, being and life. It's just the opposite. So if you have become completely egoless, no self, then you're on your way to the path of the sages. And if we practice egolessness, always contemplate and react without attachment to ego, ultimately we will liberate ourselves from all mental afflictions. We need training in it. We know about it, but we need training. We know that we shouldn't have an ego. But in everything we do, we attach to it. Once we walk out from the meditation hall, everything is maintained on an ego, self and ego basis. So why do we come to this world? Why do we get born in here? Let's put it very simply. Why do we get born in here? Because of karma. Because we have built our own karma in the past lives that we get born in here. You have no choice. You think you have a choice? You think, I don't want to be born in here. You don't have a choice. Why? Because you build up your own sentence. You build up your own karma. You don't have a choice in which family would you go to. A rich family, a poor family, a healthy family, unhealthy family. You don't have a choice because karma brings you here. Is karma determined by God? No. It's determined by what you have done. You created your own karma. Don't blame anybody. And what is this karma? Karma, what is this karma? Karma has no real nature. Karma depends on causality. Karma depends on all these causes put together, coming with effects. The causality, cause and effect, all these, you did all these causes, you realize all these effects. So karma is just a combination of cause and effect. It itself has no permanent nature. It has no real reality. It doesn't have any reality. And anything does not have a real nature depends on what? Depends on causes. And if we can really categorize all these causes, they fall into two groups. If really we have to categorize them. One category is from outer environments. Everything is causes, you name it. Countless, immeasurable causes. You look at a proton, electron, does it come into being without any causes? You look at me, do I come into this world without causes and all of a sudden I get born? You look at any lamp, any lights, anything, a dust particle, the whole world. That's environments, the category of environments. That's the first category. Everything is because of causality. So, karma does not have real nature. Karma depends on causes. And it has two categories of causes. One is causes of everything from environment. The other is causes what? That's from the inside, the mind. Now, if I look at the lantern, that's a cause. But if I close my eyes and I think, then my outer object is not that lantern anymore. It's my own mind. In my own mind, I'm thinking of something unhappy. Somebody has done something wrong to me. And I feel displeased, I feel disgruntled, I feel very malicious towards him because he did something wrong to me. So this malice comes up in me. I didn't look at any lantern, but that malice comes from where? From my heart, inside. So the causes have two parts. One is all the outer causes. The other is the inside that you created right now. In this mind that you create this. This guy has done something wrong to me. I hate him. This hatred, I germinate this right now. It arises right now. That's my cause. That's my inner environment. When I look at you, there's an outer environment, but there's an inner. Do you realize that you created it inside of you? That greediness, that hatred, that violence, that jealousy, that depression, you created it. And you are calling yourself depressed? You create your depression. You create your jealousy, your hatred, and you don't even know about it. You let it go on to dominate you. And you create that, and the Buddha, for the sake of explaining to you, you create three things, the three poisons. You create too many things, too many thoughts. But for the sake of just summarizing it, the Buddha said, categorize it into greediness, hatred, and ignorance. These three poisons, just for the sake of summarizing. There's so many inner objects and so many outer objects. All these are the causes and effects. So are you not going to watch all these things? Or you let these things work inside and outside of you? The outside are only crude causes. You look at a handsome guy, and all of a sudden you have this lustful desire in you. And you look at a beautiful woman, and all of a sudden you have this lustful desire in you. That's only a crude object. You can't even control when you see a crude object. How can you control when you see a refined object inside your mind? So that's why we pull all these objects into one tip of the nose. Anapanasati, we say, watch your breath, because we don't want to see any other objects that attract us. We just put it in here. Don't you know the idea that the Buddha told us? Get the training. Get all these objects pinpoint it to just one. There's so many objects that lead us astray. Let's go to this anapanasati. Put your attention, your concentration on one point. Then you start your training that way. Next. 32. Subbuddhi. If on the one hand someone gave away in alms the 7 treasures in quantities sufficient to fill all the worlds in uncountable eons, and another virtuous man or woman developed the Bodhi mind and received hell in mind, read and recited even a 4-line stanza of this sutra and expounded it to others, the latter's merit would surpass that of the former. If you donate treasures that could fill up the whole world, there are merits coming from it. It's not as great as reciting a 4-line stanzas from a sutra and expound it to others, and you understand it and you practice it accordingly. Why? I donated billions of treasures to the Buddha, and it's not as high as understanding and practicing a 4-line stanza from the sutra, because you're building up your wisdom. Because any form disintegrate. Treasures, after 1 billion years, all treasures disintegrate into dust. But you've learned this 4-line stanzas from the sutra, and you practice it accordingly. You become enlightened. When you become enlightened, you render your compassion out to all sentient beings. You save them all spiritually. They don't have to go through life and death. No more disintegration. No more life and death. Treasures are subject to life and death. But this eternity, this Tathagata, is not subject to life and death. It's formless. How can you put a value on something that is formless? So if you do anything without attachment to ego, the merit so obtained is manifold better than getting money, reputation, names. Those are only increasing your attachment. So we do charity without giving names. We do charity without remembering, oh, I want compensation, I want blessings from Buddha because I've done this. You don't want that, because that shows your attachment. And if you don't have attachment, you let it go. The joy is even more. I don't have to think about that anymore. I don't have to think about that fame and reputation and my seeking for fame and reputation. That drops off me. I have put in a lot of efforts to do it. And now, I don't attach to my efforts. I have no attachment. It's free, liberation, complete liberation. Because if I did it, if I put all my efforts with an intention for an exaggeration of my fame and reputation and ego, I'm just contrary to the Tathagata. And now I'm not. I'm free. I dropped that bag off me, that bag of ego, that bag of name, that bag of money. In what manner should it be taught to others? By teaching it without attachment to form, with the immutability of the Absolute. Why is it? Because all phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow, like dew and lightning. Thus should you meditate upon them. That's a very famous 4-line stanza right there. If somebody asks you, what's a 4-line stanza, the most obvious one from the Diamond Sutra, that is it. In the Chinese language, it's 4 lines. In the English language, it's just 1 sentence or 2 sentences. What is this? All phenomena are like a dream. All phenomena are like a dream. All phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow. You can write it down and put it as a motto in front and put it on your desk. All phenomena are like a dream. If all phenomena are like a dream, should your attitude be, oh, it's a dream, I'm negative, I'm pessimistic, I don't want to do anything because it's a dream? Then you have mistaken the Buddha's meaning. It's a dream, but you still have to aspire to be a bodhisattva. You live in a dream, but you'll be a good bodhisattva in that dream. Not just giving up, letting go. Letting go of your efforts. So you are like a dream, an illusion. All phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow. Like dew and lightning. Thus should you meditate upon them. Because when you meditate on this stanza, get the training, you will really have direct contact with impermanence. You really have direct contact with causality. You really have direct contact with that phenomena of egolessness. You don't attach anymore. Next paragraph. When the Buddha finished expounding this sutra, the elder Supati, together with bhikshus, bhikshunis, upasikas, and all the world of devas, men, and asuras who have listened to his teaching will fill with joy and believe, receive and observe it. This is the end of the sutra. If we have to do a summary again, it would take a lot of time. But what is the most important if we don't just look at a religion? Well, if we always attach religious jargon to an understanding, you may be tainted with a bias. People say, yeah, you have a religion, it's a God, and it's a Buddha. Well, let's throw away the God concept, throw away the religion concept. What is life? We don't have to be religious. I remember there's a song called Imagine. It's a good song. Imagine there's no hell, imagine there's no war, imagine there's no religion. We don't need religion. Throw away that word religion. You don't have to labelize a religion. You don't have to stereotype a God. This is my God, and that's your God. My God says this, your God said that. So that's inconsistent. I believe my God, and I don't believe in your God. Is that what the real God says? That's a religion. Let's throw away the religion. Life is potentially meaningful under any conditions, even those which are most miserable. Humans have the capacity to creatively turn life's negative aspects into something positive and constructive. That is, to make the best out of any situation. It does not matter how miserable you are. Life is miserable and have suffering. It's a fact. We're not being negative and pessimistic. Life is suffering. Life has three salient characteristics that nobody can deny. The first one, what is this? Pain or suffering. Nobody can deny that there's suffering. We have natural disasters, we have wars, sickness, death, you name them, political fiasco, financial fiascos. So life has three salient characteristics. One is suffering or pain. Second is guilt. We must derive from guilt the opportunity to change ourselves for the better. Why do we have guilt? When we have suffering, we put the blame on ourselves. Why do I have to suffer? Other people are not suffering. You have that guilt feeling of blaming yourself for the suffering, or you blame others for the suffering. And some people even blame God for the suffering. You blame your dad, your mom, your parents for the suffering. So you have that guilt. Guilt is not only guilt in yourself, guilt in others. We also have what? Death. So these are the three salient characteristics. pain, guilt, and death. And in most cultures, especially North American cultures, we all have the life objective of to be happy. We want to be happy. But I think it's more important to find a reason to be happy than just to look for happiness. If you find a reason to be happy, then you find meaning in life. Because if you don't find meaning in life, if you don't find that meaning in life, you just want to be happy, you could define your happiness wrongly. And some people define happiness into what? Enjoyment of material desires, lustful desires, money, reputation, fame. They define happiness in having material, the best house, a manor, a mansion, and the nice car. Do you define happiness in that way? Why are people unhappy? People are unhappy because they don't find meaning in life. What is meaning in life? In the present societies, the feeling of meaninglessness resulting from frustration of existing needs has become a universal phenomenon. They don't find meaning in life. And many people have enough to live by, but nothing to live for. They have food, they have enough to live by, but they don't have meaning, nothing to live for. They have the means to live, but they have no meaning to live. Are you not going to find meaning in life? We have all the means to live, but is there meaning in it? In here, in the Buddhist teaching, there's meaning. Are you not going to care about finding that meaning? Or you just I want to be happy. Today I'm not. Why? Because my mom blamed me, or because I lost my job. I don't have enough money. I don't have a nice car. I don't have a nice house. Do you define meaning? Do you define meaning and happiness in that way? This sounds so abstruse. What is this meaninglessness in life? How do we see this meaninglessness? How do we resolve this? How do we find out more meaning about it? That's in the Buddhist teaching. That's in the Diamond Sutra. Basically, the meaninglessness has three aspects to it. Has three expressions. How do people express that life is, I don't find meaning in it? How do people express meaninglessness? They usually express meaninglessness in what? In depression, in aggression, in addiction. They feel depressed. They don't know what to do. That's depression. How's aggression? They become a criminal. They hurt others because they don't find meaning in life. They just want to get what they want, and they can steal, they can rape, they can lie, they can do whatever they want. It's aggression. Just the opposite of depression. An exaggeration of his own actions, of his own speech. That's how meaninglessness, that's how the devil of meaninglessness find expression. They find expressions in you, in me, in everybody who does not have the meaning. How do they find expression? In depression, in aggression, and in addiction. I take on drugs because I don't have meaning in life. Now, how do we approach all this? How do we approach all this? We've got to learn the Buddha's teaching. There are usually two approaches in finding the meaning of life. One is the values approach, and the other is the biographical approach. What is a biographical approach? Biographical approach is to learn from people who found a meaning. There are saints who already found a meaning in life. The Buddha, or Jesus, or some other saints. Not just the Buddha. As I said before, let's drop that religion out from that window. Don't say the Buddha is superior to Jesus. Jesus is superior to Buddha. You're discriminating. You get into the meaningless of life again by being bigotry, by being selfish, by being biased in what you're doing. Throw the religion out. We don't need religion. We don't need religion. But we know that we need the wisdom to go on. We don't need that stereotype label religion. We need the comprehension, the wisdom, the prajna, paramita. We're behind. I haven't even started today. I want to talk about the meaning of life, but that is something that we all have to learn. Learning is a lifelong process. We've got to find that meaning. We cannot let the devil of meaninglessness dominate our life. And that is in the Buddha's teaching. If we're using the biographical approach of learning from the saints, because they found meaning. They didn't find the religion. They didn't find God. They found meaning. Well, thank you very much for the Diamond Sutra. I would like to dedicate any merits obtained from the discussion, from the lecturing, to all sentient beings, for compassion, for world peace, for getting away from meaninglessness, and last but not least, for the welfare of Richmond, of BC, of Canada, and of the whole world. We don't want an earthquake in here. So, similarly, we don't want an earthquake in any part of the world. No catastrophe, world peace, compassion, purity of mind, and perpetuation of the Buddhist teaching and of any saintly teaching.